Hello, friends. This is your humble narrator and host, Tony Figueroa, artist, writer, Navy veteran, and creator of Wrestler Zero. Wrestler Zero is a masked wrestler who fights weird menaces. There are 2 issues published. If you're familiar with El Santo or Blue Demon, the genre known as Mexi Lucha Hero, then you know what you're in for here to a degree. Masked wrestler fights weird menaces that the authorities can't handle. So there you have it. So what I thought I would do today is just go through some of the older pieces that I've done with no shame in the game. And this first one is a pencil recreation of a illustration I had done previously called Surrounded, or Arrodeado, which means surrounded in Spanish. I gave away the original and I decided just to recreate it, and there it is. I've used this composition in a different fantasy piece, but this is where it started, and I still do like the idea very much of the lone hero outnumbered. This is a piece of Ameca, the Unbreakable. I was looking at a lot of 90s comics, I guess, and I just went for a super exaggerated physique. Again, as you can see here, it's just basically a C-shaped composition. It starts up here and kind of goes here. But there it is. There's Ameca, the Unbreakable. And he's about ready to land a heavy blow on someone. I do have a story actually in mind. I tend to explore ideas by doing illustrations of them. I do take sort of copious notes, as you can see there. And perhaps one day I will unleash this upon the world. This is an unfinished piece. It was supposed to be a pinup of Tiger Mask. I only included it in here because I had shown a previous Tiger Mask piece, and I thought, hey, why not this one too? I try to keep the style as consistent as possible with the original. A lot of fun. Really like drawing this character. Wish I'd created him. This is more of a fantasy piece here. This is a woman warrior, female warrior, or a warrior who happens to be a female, whatever you choose to say. Again, a triangular composition, very much inspired by Frank Frazetta. And this is just some sketching, a compulsive drawer. I do a lot of drawing on scrap pieces of paper or copy paper. And this is another one of them, trying to understand how to draw. And don't know what I was going to use this one for, but there it is. And here is another piece, sort of in the same theme, warrior with a menace erupting out of the ground. I may take this to a finish at some point, but not today. And here was yet another piece I had done, which I did not obviously finish. But someday I will, just not today. And this is the first drawing I did in support of a concept called Incursion. Briefly, the premise is that a parallel Earth has been quietly invading our world. They have a reason for doing so. It centers around survival. The protagonist, a gentleman in the middle, throwing the punches, is James Brent, and he has amnesia, so he really doesn't know why these people are after him. But they certainly do know why they're after him, so hopefully this can be developed. And this was supposed to be page 1. As you can see, I do lay out perspective grids. Especially when you're doing any kind of building, any edifice, you definitely need to be able to put it in perspective. I'm not able to fake it. Some people can fake it very well. I'm not one of those people. And I have my lettering indicated here, done with the Ames lettering guide, because I do feel that the lettering is part of the composition and I like having it on the board. Or in this case, on the layout, which is done on 11 by 17 copy paper. I've got some notes to myself here. And this is James Brent breaking out. And here's yet another version of that. Here I wanted to show him in captivity, which is where he escapes from. A pair of scientists there doing some stuff. As you can see, I went through a lot of erasures here. As you can see that little box there that says kill. It repeats there. These are the people behind the scenes running the show. And I just like the idea of having that eyeball in that square. And this is him undergoing some torture. They want information. He unfortunately doesn't have it, but that certainly doesn't stop them from attempting to get it out of him. And this is more layouts of him being pursued after he escapes. At this point, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get into a flashback sequence, but I have it down on paper anyway in case I should need it. This is another iteration of that, kind of drawn, as you can see there, drawn sort of in a much more superhero-y style. I'm not sure if I wanted to go that way with it, but again, you have these three bottom panels. And this bottom panel, which I think might be, I think in this panel I was intending to have someone explain the nature of parallel Earths. So, and then here is one of the first versions I did of the pursuit. He's hiding out, he's trying to get his bearings. He hears something, boom, boom. Because it's a comic, it's action adventure, science fiction. You definitely have to have some action. So, and here's yet another page layout. And we're off to the races again. There's a lot of running around in this one. This was from a different concept that I had called The Swine. I can't find a splash page at the moment, but it's done, as you can see, a bit Jack Kirby-esque. I have a great time trying to emulate the master. Often imitated, never will be duplicated. But here's the swine taking a shot to the kisser. And here's the swine just answering back. And, well, that's what he comes across. Some sinister doings. And again, just different iterations of the same idea with my perspective grids laid in. And that's the swine. This was a page for a Wrestler Zero story. I never used it, but I do like the way the storytelling flows here. The idea is that Wrestler Zero is wearing the mask of a person, as opposed to the other way around. So you do have that. And then this is two of my more recent pieces. I think I showed these on a previous video. And I thought I would end by showing another page from the never published issue 3 of Wrestler Zero. Boy, I would do this differently now, but I think the basic idea of a vampire from another dimension is probably not a bad one. So a lot of heavy shading there, a lot of lighting. One of my biggest influences when it comes to lighting and shading is a gentleman called Conrad Hall. He was a lighting director for many things, but I knew him best from The Outer Limits. Really beautiful stuff if you have a chance to check it out. And this is another page from the same never before published issue of Wrestler Zero, number 3. And again, just going for that horror film feel. Again, I would do these things differently now, but back then it was the best that I could do with the time that I had. I was working a full-time, non-creative job, and I was also a single father at the same time, so I just had to make time for this whenever I could. But you know what? I gave it my all. It was the best that I could do, and I'm actually very proud of doing it. So no shame in the game. And here's another page from issue 3 of Wrestler Zero, and this is the villain, just sort of explaining what he intends to do. He's the first. He intends to bring a lot more of his kind to overrun the earth. And that's basically that. And yes, there's still another concept. I did this a few years ago. Called The Iron Path, a story set in ancient Rome, a former gladiator fighting against vampires. And how do you fight vampires in pre-Christian times without the Christian symbolism? So someday I might also bring this to fruition, but in the meantime, it exists only in my mind. And we're back finally with this piece here where I was emulating Jack Kirby. I showed this before, so I'm not going to linger on it for too long. But that's about it for now. Next time out, I think I'm going to talk about some comics that I really enjoy. And hopefully you'll join me and we can look at some stuff. Until then, take care. Bye.